Welcome to the Strong, Single and Human podcast, a real look at single parenting, how to navigate the ups and downs of life with kids on your own while keeping sane. We cover all manner of subjects from domestic violence, dealing with childhood trauma, through to fussy eaters and how to help your kids become resilient. I'm your host, Claire Martin. Welcome. Danika Sanchez is the passionate owner of Baby Steps Concierge Nursing. Throughout her life, Danika has been on a quest to discover her true calling. I think, haven't we all? Driven by her entrepreneurial spirit and a deep desire to help others, particularly babies. Her journey has taken her through various roles, from chairing large not-for-profit events to exploring marketing, financial planning, and even running her own bakery while pursuing nursing school. While some may have viewed her as a jack of all trades and a master of none, Danika now realises that each experience has played a vital role in shaping her path. Today, she has found her true passion, which lies in assisting parents to confidently care for their newborns, especially those who lack a robust support system nearby. As a seasoned nurse and dedicated educator, she gets immense joy from teaching and supporting others, with a special love for nurturing and caring for babies. With Baby Steps Concierge Nursing, Danika is fulfilling her purpose and making a significant impact on the lives of new parents and their little ones. When she isn't lending her expertise to new parents, you might find her exploring new ways to contribute to her community or spend quality time with her own loved ones. Her journey of self-discovery and unwavering determination has led her to the perfect place where her passion for teaching, assisting others, and loving babies converge harmoniously. This is the Strong, Single and Human podcast. Hi, Danika. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Claire. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, no, can't wait to hear your story, and what you do, right? And tell people about what you do. So let's get straight to that then, right? Tell us about you and who you are, and then tell us how you came to basically recognize a gap in the market that wasn't being filled. People weren't being helped.
Yep, love it. So I've always been, I think, entrepreneur at heart. I was that kid that had the lemonade stands. I tried to, I had a swim club in my backyard and we had snacks, and I was always playing school and business and all these things. So I have been, I call it a jack of all trades, master of none. I have done a little bit of everything in my life, trying to find my passion. They keep talking about, you have to find your passion. I love everything. So I thought everything was my passion, but that's not how that works. Yeah. So when my kids got older, I have two kids. They are adults now. So when they got old enough, it was time for me to actually figure out what my passion was and figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And so what I did, I sat down with a piece of paper. I'm a list maker. So sat down with a piece of paper and said, what are the qualities in my dream job? What are the things that I really want in a job?
Wow.
I wanted to work with babies. I love babies. I wanted to help people. I wanted to wear comfy clothes, right? Scrubs are comfy.
That's awesome. That's an awesome, that's an awesome thing on your list to have. That's fair enough.
It's a dream job. Let's put all the things.
Yeah.
I wanted flexible hours. I wanted to make decent money. I wanted to not have to go to school for 10 more years, all these things. So nursing really, I like to solve puzzles and critical think and do that kind of stuff. So nursing hit all of those things. Scrubs are comfy. So went back to school at age 40.
They look comfy. They look like Johnnies.
They are. Basically, they are. They're super comfy. And the more pockets, the better. I love pockets. So went back to school at age 40, finished up a couple classes I had to take to get into nursing school, went to nursing school, and became a nurse in my 40s. I, like I said, love babies. That was a big part of my list of what I wanted to do. So I went to nursing school to work in the NICU, which is with the babies that are born early or have issues when they're born, breathing issues and that kind of stuff. Did that for 4 years. And then just to expand my horizons a little bit, went up to postpartum, which is, I say up because in our hospital, it's one floor up, but went over to postpartum. And that's where moms and babies go after the baby's born and before they go home. And that is where I noticed this big gap, right? So my passion is babies. My passion is education. I love the educational component of everything, but these poor parents are not in the hospital very long after having a baby anymore. They're there for 24 hours, maybe 48. Yeah. If you had a C-section, 48.
Yeah.
And they don't remember anything from the first half of the stay anyway, because they're sleep deprived. They haven't eaten for 12 hours. They just push a human out. There's all kinds of reasons. And they were terrified. They, especially the first time parents, were like, can you just come home with us, please? Because we don't know what we're doing. We don't feel qualified to do this. And we're stressing out. And as a nurse in the hospital, I can't go home with you. But if I started a business, then I absolutely can meet you at home and help you out. So that's how it came to be. So Baby Steps is the name of my company. And that's what we do. We will come to your home after you get home from the hospital and help you figure it out. That's, essentially, figure it out.
Figure it out. And I have to say, I did some. I was really lazy, I suppose, because I was an older mum. And I was just like, yeah, I'll be all right. I'll figure it out when he comes. I did know he was a he. I figure it out when he comes. But I did do some classes, and you don't, when you've got a creature, a little boy in front of you, waggling his arms and legs around while you're trying to change his nappy or bath him. Oh my God, bathing's horrendous. They're so slippery, those little creatures, right? And and you just don't want to, you don't want to hurt them, and they're having a whale of a time, and it's great watching them, but it's, and I have to agree with you, right? I went through all of that going, oh my God, this is full on, right? And I didn't think I liked the baby stage, but actually he's now 7 going on 8, right? And I actually want to go back to that stage because that was
once it's over, you're like, oh man, that was great. Yeah. Well, I was helping a couple last week, and she had been a nanny. He had been a caregiver, for most of their lives. They're like, we've loved kids. This is our first one, but we are ready. We took the classes. We read the books. We're caregivers. We got this. They literally were calling me every 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Can you help us swaddle the baby? Did we do this right? Did we do this right? What about this? When are we going to do this? And I was like, oh my God. Which is normal. But I'm like, don't come at me like you know what you're doing and then call me every 15 minutes. But that's the thing. Once the baby comes, you have no idea what it's actually going to be like until they come. And like you said, they're slippery when they're wet. They won't sit still.
Lovely silver-lined cloud of fluffiness that you think it's going to be great. And they're going to do everything that you want, and they'll go to sleep when they need to. And
breastfeeding will be easy.
Yeah. Oh my God, breastfeeding's just it's
all a lie. It's all a lie.
Don't get me wrong. I loved breastfeeding. I breastfed my son for a year, but oh my God, it hurts, right? It's like nobody tells you that it hurts, and everyone's going, no, just latch him. I thought he just could latch him on himself, right? He's a baby. He needs food. Surely he knows what he's doing, right? No. No. They're like, no. You have to show him. You have to teach him. You have to flip your bits in his mouth and he's not going to suckle. And oh my God, it was so technical. So,
it is. Yeah. It is. It's so technical. It's the first thing.
And then once you get it, once you get it, it's like riding a bike. It literally is like riding a bike, because when you first ride a bike, you're all over the place and you don't really do it quite well, and turning corners is not great. And then once you've done it, you're like, shit, this is a breeze. Why did I even find this hard? And it's the same with breastfeeding, right? But it does bloody hurt. And some people can't do it. And that's okay. That's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. I tell all my parents, listen, the biggest lie TV ever told us is that breastfeeding is easy. It is not easy. It's going to take you time. It's going to take patience. It's going to take practice. And, and usually you're trying to breastfeed your baby like an hour after they're born. I'm like, listen, this baby's only been on earth for 1 hour. You've only been a mother for 1 hour. I don't expect you to know how to do it. But TV has told you, like you said, the baby will know what he's doing. Just put the baby near your boob and they'll figure it out. No, it doesn't work that way.
And I thought, well, it works in nature, right? They just pop out and on they go, right? So I'm thinking this might be what happens with me. No. Yes. Oh my God. No. And if I wanted that baby to sleep more than 45 minutes, oh my God, you sleep for one cycle. And then I spent 3 hours or whatever trying to get him to sleep for another cycle, right? When he could have been up playing. Oh, don't even go there, right? I love him, which is one of the reasons I hated the baby stage. And now I want to go back there because I actually know what I'm doing, but I'm too old to go back there. I'm not sure I want to go back there.
So that's really what our goal is, to help you enjoy that baby stage the first time around. To realize that even though it's going to be hard, it can be enjoyable, and it's going to be a little stressful, and you're going to have a little anxiety, but let's get you to a place where you can actually enjoy it a little bit. And you're not so stressed out that it just flies by. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, where'd the baby go? Like I had a baby and now they're an adult, but to be able to enjoy it a little bit.
It does. It does. So, okay, but I'm going to ask you this question, right?
Yeah.
What is so different nowadays? And I'm wondering if it's all the information and social media and stuff like that. But and I'm sure if I spoke to my mum about this, my mum would go, what? I still had all the same issues that you had, right? But it seemed as though things were easier when I was a kid and when my mum was a kid. Why have we made it so complex? Why isn't it and they had toweling nappies, right? They had to boil them in blooming saucepans and stuff, right? Blah. So, don't even go there. They were hanging out on the washing line. But why is it so hard now? Why do we need people like you guys?
So I'm going to challenge that it was easier. Everyone tells us everything was easier back then, but no one talked about anything back then. So our moms were struggling in silence. Our moms were doing the stuff, hating it, worrying if they were doing it right, stressing out about it, but keeping quiet about it because no one talked about it. That's one of my theories. The other theory I have is social media obviously is playing a part in everything nowadays. So, so many more issues are being talked about it, which is great for the most part. But then now we're all panicked. Like, what if my kid doesn't look like a model all the time? What if my baby, if people want all the best stuff, when really we should be focusing more on the things we're doing with them, not the things we're giving to them.
Yeah.
But also we know so much more, right? When you know more, you need to do better. We know so much more now about the development of the babies and what we can do to foster that and support those babies a little better than we kind of knew, back when we were little. I also, my mom said the same thing when I started this business. She's like, I did it by myself. Why would anyone need you? And I was like, okay, hold on.
I love your mom. There's nothing like supporting your kids.
I know, right? But
that's okay because people ask these questions, right? So in a way, she was challenging you to get to your benefit that you need to tell people.
And it's fine. And there are people out there that won't need my services. That's completely fine. If you have your village of people, if you have family that lives next door, or you have friends down the street, or you have people around that can help you, you might not need someone like us. But if you don't, or if you aren't comfortable talking to those people, or you're just not one of those parents that really is looking forward to having a little baby at home and it stresses you out, that's what we're here for. And I told my mom, I'm like, okay, well, you did it and you did great because I turned out well. So you obviously did something, right? But how stressed were you? How overwhelmed were you? How would it have been nicer to have someone show you how to do things in a less stressful way, in a way that would make you calmer and the baby calmer, and just make the process a little more fun or simple or enjoyable.
Yeah.
Enjoyable, I guess, is what we're coming to.
Yeah. And look, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? We're so much more of a spread out, for want of a better phrase, because I am very good at phrases on a Friday morning. But like, it's been a long week. But like, we're so spread out all over the world, right? And like, I live in Australia. My family, aunts, uncles, cousins, mum and dad, brother, family, grandparents are all in the UK, right? So I have no one here. Admittedly, my ex-partner family is here, but they live 4 hours away because I live in Australia, right? And it's a blooming big place, right? And even though we're still in the same state, they're 4 hours away. I can't nip round and go, hey, can you help me? My child's got green poo, and I don't know whether I should take him to hospital or whether, like when he was a baby. I mean, I'm taking photos of his poo.
Yeah.
And comparing it with what was on Google, right? I mean, God love Google, but oh my God, is this a way to live? Yeah. But, I'm going green poo. Does this mean something really bad? I don't know. But also do you find with new mums, and I'm also like putting it out there because I know this is a single parents website, podcast, right? But there's sometimes where we get single parents who have gone through a bereavement and been pregnant and gone through a bereavement and they're having to do it on their own. Or we find that some people have gone and had kid number one with their ex-partner and then they want to go and have child number two, but they don't want an actual partner and therefore they go and get sperm donation or whatever. And so they're going through bringing a child up on their own, right? So have you found that with social media and all of that sort of thing that it's had a big impact on our new parents as such?
Yes, it has, in good ways and in bad. I'm not saying all social media is bad. I think there's some great benefits to it as well.
So but what good ways then? Let's go in the good ways. I want to do positive because it's Friday and I'm already feeling like I need a wine and I've not even started my day yet.
Oh, well, I'm okay with it. Go ahead. You can have a little.
Oh, no, God, no. You don't want me on wine. Not on here. Jesus. I've got to make it through the day.
Okay, so the good parts of social media is having an audience out there that you didn't know about that knows what you're going through, right? Yeah. So you could be a single parent that either lost your partner or never had one to start with. Maybe you're just going through surrogacy or, like you said, IVF or something on your own. In the past, that seemed like such a small population that you wouldn't necessarily have someone else, even in your own town, that was going through that same thing, let alone someone that you could talk to. Social media now has given those people a forum and a place that they can talk about it. So there's a couple of people I follow on social media that have had traumatic births. I never had a traumatic birth myself, but through following this person on social media, what it does, number one, is gives voice to the people that have gone through traumatic birth. But it also helped people like me be able to talk to those people and be able to empathize with those people and have better conversations with them so that if I do come across someone who's had a traumatic birth, I'm not contributing to their trauma by dismissing them or by glossing over it or, whatever, but I can be an empathetic ear and I can help them hopefully get through whatever they're going through. Or if you've had a trauma in the past and now you have a healthy child, that doesn't mean the trauma went away.
No.
You still have the trauma.
Yeah.
So, and it can manifest itself in your interactions with your new baby. So I think social media has been really good for that, in giving a platform to people to realize that they are not alone. They are not the only person going through this. And here are some of the other people maybe you can talk to. Here are some ideas maybe you can implement and how to get through this. There's more resources, I guess, more resources that way, I think is great.
Yeah.
The flip side of that, well, I'm going to go negative just for one sec.
No, it's okay. Go negative. Because there is a flip side. There's a flip side to everything, isn't there?
Right.
So,
right. And so the flip side is too much information. So I had a client who was panicking before her kid even was born because she's like, okay, do I need the special bathtub and the special booger sucker and the car seat that turns into a stroller and I was like, whoa. And I'm like, no, you don't actually, like you can buy the $10 bathtub from Target. It's fine. But she just was so overwhelmed because of social media, and it's getting caught up in the, keeping up with the Joneses. I don't know if you guys have that phrase.
We do. Definitely. Okay. I think it's global, that phrase.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know if it was a different last name, but keeping up with the Joneses. And do I have to have all the things for my baby to be happy? And I'm like, your baby needs to be happy. Your baby needs to eat. Your baby needs to feel safe. Those are really the only two things, And
9 times out of 10, he or she doesn't even need to be clean, right? Because they just love getting dirty.
Is subjective. It's fine. But obviously there's more we want to do for them, but really what it comes down to, they don't care what kind of stroller they're in. They don't care what kind of soap you're using on their hair. Like, they don't care. They want to know that they're safe, and they want to know that they're going to get fed when they're hungry.
Yeah. So, I have to agree. And, it's just, it's a crazy world we live in, isn't it? These people who give us a little glimpse, a window into their life, but their life could be so different.
Yeah.
In the whole of the house. It's, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Definitely. Well, and you were talking about, being global and having family members in different parts of the country or different parts of the world. So if your family is from some country and there's a whole bunch of customs that are around the birth of a new baby, but they don't celebrate those customs in the country you're currently living in, how do you kind of get those two things together? How do you coordinate them? Do you want to keep the customs from your parents' country, or do you want to integrate them here, or do you not want to do them? It's a lot of information to have to try and figure out and plan and decide what you want to do, while at the same time still trying to figure out how to keep this child alive and what the heck am I doing and when can I sleep again?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and that is definitely a key question. That is, when can I sleep again?
Yes.
So look, so let's delve into, because I want to delve into what you guys actually do. And then I want to sort of ask a few other questions about different children and their situations and scenarios potentially. So what do you guys actually do? I'm going to ask that question. I might as well go simple.
No, and it really is a good question. So what we do, we are nurses. We are licensed, registered nurses, licensed with the board. We've gone through schooling to get these licenses. We have to do continuing education to maintain these licenses. So I want to start out by saying we are all licensed nurses in my company.
You're not just somebody on the corner then. That's like, you've pulled in. It's like you are qualified and know what you're talking about.
Right. And we all have worked in the NICU. We've worked in postpartum. We've worked in, around the babies. But what we will do is we will come to you. So to your home, your Airbnb, or wherever you are, after you get home from the hospital, and we'll answer your questions. Number one, we'll try and calm you down. Number two, but we will go through all of the little things, how to bathe the baby. Let's do it all together. We will show you how to do it. We will help you do it. We will answer all your little questions about it. We'll show you the tips and tricks and some of the ways to make it easier on yourself or on the baby. Gesundheit. We will, will answer feeding questions. We'll help you with feeding. If your baby came home from the NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit, sometimes there's an extra stress around that because you're used to your baby being on a monitor and someone watching them 24 hours a day. And now there's no monitor. And so we have parents that are like, I just stare at them all day to make sure they're breathing. Okay.
Well, that was one of my questions, right? One of my questions was, what's the difference, right? If your baby's been in the NICU, right? So special care because they've been, and why would babies be in the NICU as such? So they'd be born too early. they would have
born
maybe
too early, not breathing well, or having trouble breathing, irregular heartbeat or something like that. Or if they're not eating well enough, enough to be gaining weight or something like that, then they might have to be in the NICU for a bit.
And
but
so
especially,
they would, and how long would they be in the NICU?
it really depends. A rule of thumb is that your baby will be in the NICU until their original due date. So a general rule of thumb, they usually go home before that, but could be after, you never know.
Yeah.
It's so individualized with each baby. But so 37 weeks of gestation, 37 weeks of being pregnant is actually considered full term. So if your baby was born at, let's say, 27 weeks, which is possible, 23 weeks is the earliest at this point that we can keep a baby, alive and thrive. But let's say your baby was born at 27 weeks. All of that development and stuff and growing they were going to do in your tummy still has to happen. It just has to happen outside. It's going to happen in the NICU. So that baby might be in the NICU for 10 weeks, 2.5 months, 3 months. Yeah. It just depends on what's going on. But what's
some of the differences sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead.
No, what's some of the differences? What do you need to, so I'd say this question. What are some of the differences with the babies, but then what are some of the differences with the parents? What are because as a parent, that my baby came out through the Ziploc sunroof, as it were. So, which was not my choice. I didn't want him to come out that way. I wanted to give birth to him naturally. Right. I think there was a bit of a panic regarding my age because I had him when I was 44. I think there was a bit of a panic around the fact that I was 2 centimeters dilated for 12 hours. Right. So there was, and his head got stuck and various different other, his head was you're not getting, I want to come out, but you're not actually moving quick enough for me to come out. Right. So, it was just knackering. And I didn't want to get him out through the sunroof, but I had to, right? I'd been on the go for 12 hours. So, coming out through the sun, and the drugs were great, I have to say. Not that I wanted to take any drugs, I have to say. But that epidural, when they gave it to me, was I went to sleep, I think, for an hour because I was so tired.
Nice. That's, really, that might be the ideal way to do it.
Not great, but
so those babies, the earlier they're born, the more we have to pay attention to the development of their brain and their muscles and their tone and their body and all the things. They come out looking like a full little baby. They're just tiny. They're like this big. They weigh a pound, depending on how little they are. But they have all their parts, but those parts aren't fully developed yet. So for instance, the brain, you and I, we don't have to think about our heart beating. We don't have to think about breathing. We kind of just do it because our brain tells our heart to beat. In those little guys, those connections haven't formed yet. The brain's not telling the heart. Wow. The brain forgets sometimes. He forgets to tell it to beat, forgets to tell him to breathe. So
there's too many other things it's doing.
Yeah, I know. So we have caffeine. Caffeine is actually a drug we use in the NICU. It's a stimulant. And we use it to stimulate the brain to remember to tell the heart to beat. So, so there's things like that we have to do sometimes to help with that development. Now, at the same time, we're trying to make sure, their lungs have to develop. Lungs don't typically develop till toward the end of your pregnancy. So if they come out early, those lungs aren't fully developed yet. They might need some, respiratory support, some oxygen, that kind of stuff. While sometimes we get so focused on that, we need them to eat, we need them to breathe, we need their heart to beat. But also, their muscles are developing, their joints are developing, their bones are still getting stronger. And the way that we touch them, the way that we move them, the way that they're lying down, those all have an impact on how they're going to develop moving forward. So that area, it's called the neurodevelopmental area of babies. And that's all a lot of new research coming out, and a lot of the new studies are coming out on those types of things. That's my passion. That's the part I love the most.
So, but do we have to be careful when they come out of the NICU then, right? Do you still have to be aware of all of that stuff?
Yes, you do. Because oftentimes they'll come home from the NICU still early at 36 weeks or 37 weeks gestation, because they've done all the things we need them to do in the NICU and they could go home. But they still might need a little extra help with feeding. They might need a little extra help with their tone and posture, making sure that they have that tummy time. I mean, all babies actually need that tummy time. But when the smaller they are, when they come home, or if they've been in the NICU, then yes, there is more things that we need to be aware of. The other thing is pain. In the NICU, I think the last study I heard is babies in the NICU endure approximately 10 painful procedures a day in the NICU. Wow. And some people will say it's up to 40 because just touching a baby can be perceived as a painful event when they're really, really tiny. So being aware of all of those things. So if your baby's been in the NICU for a long time and has had all these things that are causing stress, you need to be aware of that when they come home. So we need to give them extra loving touches to try and offset all of those painful touches that they've had up until now. So yeah, there are things that make them different when they're little.
Yeah. And like, if you know, right, because we are all a village, right? And there are single mums out there that I know have had kids, have had children that are babies, right? They're a single parent that I've known, I'm friends with or whatever, that they've had babies, right? While still being a single parent. And if you know somebody like that and their child has been in the NICU, right, what can you do for that person? What can you do for any new parent, really? I mean, we cook food,
it kind of is this,
but it is like, what other things can you do?
Yeah, so little things. So let's break this down into two different groups real quick. So if you have a parent or a friend of yours that has a baby in the NICU, okay, it's hard. And this is assuming they have no other children to take care of. They are trying to go to work, take care of themselves, and have to travel to the NICU to see their baby. That is difficult. It can be emotionally exhausting as well. There are parents that sometimes, if their babies are born very, very early, are afraid to come to the NICU. They're afraid to create a bond with that baby in case something happens to the baby. So being there to support a NICU parent in whatever way they need emotionally. Let them talk about their experience. Let them be honest with you and just listen. You don't gloss over, don't try to make them feel better. Okay. Don't say the phrases like, yeah, but they're fine for now. Everything looks good. Or like, oh, he'll probably be fine. Well, what if he's not? So listening and saying, this must be really hard for you. I can't even imagine having to do this. How can I help? And maybe you go over and you do dishes for them while they're at the NICU. Or maybe, you bring some food and just leave it in the fridge, or those kinds of practical things. If they have other children also already, and they have a baby in the NICU, maybe you can babysit the other ones so they can go visit their babies in the NICU, something like that. Even the babies, if they're not in the NICU, they're just at home. I've been doing this for a friend of mine. She just had twins, and just going over and hanging out for a few hours. And that way, if one of them cries, I can hold that one for a minute while she goes to the bathroom, or little things like that you just forget about. You're in your pajamas all day. You don't have time to do hair or makeup. You're lucky if you get to brush your teeth. You're lucky if you get to pee a couple times a day. Getting food shoved down your face
watching
is a luxury. Right.
I think that's only just finished for me. So that's always good. Like at 7, he goes, oh, I don't want to see you on the toilet. And I'm like, thank God. I now get some alone time.
Exactly. And it really doesn't take a lot to be supportive of of a new parent, but it takes intention. They are not necessarily going to reach out. I encourage them to. That's one of the things I try and tell people is please ask for help. But a lot of us just are not wired that way. And it's going to be hard for us to do.
And also in the world today, I think you feel as though you're failing if you reach out, and it's wrong to feel like that. But with everyone on social media, and that's one of the reasons I started this podcast, right? Was everyone was going, it's okay, single parenting is fine. I run a business, multi-million-dollar business. I've got 2 kids. I'm single parent. I'm on my own and it's all great. And I'm going, that's a load of rubbish, right? Because there's no way you can do this on your own, right? And you definitely don't have your kid 24/7. And stuff like that, right? So,
definitely.
It's difficult, right? Because you get made to feel like a failure, or that you're not coping because social media goes, well, you should cope.
Right. Exactly. And I think sometimes it's even worse for single parents, because whether you chose to be single or whether you didn't choose to be single, I think people, maybe you feel like, well, now I really have to show people that I can do this. You know, the naysayers and the whatever. So what I would say is, if you have a friend who is either a single parent, has someone in the NICU, just needs help, don't just say, hey, how can I help? Because they're going to say, oh, no, I don't know. It's fine.
I'm okay.
Offer something specific. Say, hey, may I come over and cook you a meal on Friday? Or, hey, may I take your other kids to the park with my kid for, an hour? Or, hey, can I take your kids to the movies? Or, offer something specific. It's much easier to say yes to that than to add something to the brain space. For me, being a mom, the hardest part of being a mom was the brain space, lack of brain space. Like, I can't think about anything outside of getting my children fed, getting them out the door to school, whatever it was. Don't make me answer your question for you, right? But if you offer like, hey, can I pick the kids up from school for you? I'm like, you know what? It'd be awesome. Thanks. Yeah. Much easier for me to say yes than to try to come up with some things that you could maybe do.
And I completely agree with you there. I mean, even in the work situation, when somebody goes, oh, how can we help you? How can I help you? Right. And you go, oh God, you put me on the spot. And actually at this point in time, I don't need any help. And I really can't think. I haven't got the space to think about it. So no, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. What do we need to do for dads though? Because I know we've talked a lot about mums, right? But this podcast is also about dads, right? And there are single dads out there who have the children 100% of the time. There are single dads out there who unfortunately have lost their wife through childbirth or various different other tragedies, right? Who have got a young baby and they've got to deal with it, right? I don't know if you get any of those situations, but like,
right. So some of the stuff that we've talked about for moms still applies for dads, be offering, be empathetic, listen, that kind of stuff. The other thing that I want to mention is that there is more and more evidence that is supporting that there is such a thing as paternal instinct. So I think a lot of times we'll see a single father and we'll be like, oh, you poor dad, you don't know what you're doing. Well, really, none of us know what we're doing. But don't just automatically dismiss him as not knowing what he's doing or not having that instinct of being able to figure out what to do, because they do. Men do. It's paternal instinct.
Google now.
Absolutely.
They can Google it.
Exactly.
So, or AI it.
Or that's a whole, that's fun. Sometimes that's going to be interesting to keep our eye on. But yeah, so single dads, really the same stuff applies. And when we talk about what we do and we come in and we help you, one of the things we're helping you do is to learn your baby, learn about what the different sounds mean. What do the different hand signals mean? What does the body language mean? Being able to read your own baby. And I think a lot of people just assume that moms or women are the only people that can do that. Well, I'll tell you, there's women that can't do that. That's just not in their wheelhouse, and that's okay. But there are plenty of men that actually can do it and will do it very, very well. So it's really just about being supportive of parents. I think whether it's a mom or a dad, it's being supportive of the parents, giving them the tools that they need and the support that they need to do this job well. Because it's a tough job. It's a tough job for anyone, let alone a single parent, for sure.
Yeah, it's not a job that you would look in a paper and go, "Yep, I'll go for that job." There's no pay. There's no pay. Nope. You get hassled every day. You're clearing up after people, dealing with issues, and you're always worrying about stuff, sleepless nights. I mean, God, if I read that job description, I definitely wouldn't want to do that job. That would be like, nah, give me something that pays me money, that doesn't give me aggro. No. That's fair enough.
But there's good parts to it too, right?
Oh,
there's good things about being a parent. And that's where sometimes though, I think as a new parent, you are so overwhelmed and you're so anxious that you don't get to enjoy it enough.
No.
And you're just worried about everything, every little detail. And what if I bathe them wrong? Am I going to damage them forever? Okay, we'll help you.
They're very flexy.
we can do it.
They're very flexy, believe you me. I've had my son
Think of
fall
where they
off the
came
bed
from.
once as well, right? He just bounced. I mean, not a great move, and it was only once, right? But my God, they can move quick, right? And if anyone has said, "Oh, I've never had my child fall off a bed," that's rubbish, right?
Yeah,
like,
probably. Yeah,
they move quickly, right?
They do.
You think you're folding washing, and they're just sitting in the middle of the bed, and then they go, "Wow, well, we're just going to do a jump off the bed."
Yeah, no, absolutely. And every baby is different. And even though, you can read all the books and you can listen to the doctors and all the things, and they'll say, oh, the babies will probably start rolling over around, whatever, 2 months. But there's always babies that do it at 1 month. Then there are freak occurrences. But what if yours is the freak occurrence?
My son hated tummy time. He hated it. He just laid on the floor with his head on the ground, didn't lift it off, and screamed. Screamed, right? I kept trying tummy time with him. He hated it. He was like, why am I doing this? Why are you turning me, facing me to the floor? And he'd just lay there screaming and never thought to look up and look around, right? And I'm trying to distract him.
He's
a nightmare, right? Love him. But and then he decided, nah, I'm not going to do this crawling malarkey. Nah, I'm just going to get straight off my bum and walk. And that's what he did. Walked around the furniture, got a bit confident, and then off he went, right? No crawling, no preparing, mummy. Just right, we're just going to go for it.
We're just going to go. And that's the problem is they're all different. So different and little quirks and little things. And it's all about getting to know your own kid and what they need and what they want and what they like and don't like. And they know from the beginning. I will tell you, these little 26-week-old babies that are delivered in the NICU, they have attitude. They have personality already at that age. I love it. It's my favorite thing, but they have it already. Yeah. So they're just so different.
Yeah. So different. No, it I do paint a depressing picture with kids, but it is amazing. I wouldn't be without my son. He is an amazing kid. And there are times where I look at him and go, wow, how did I produce that? And then there are other times where I look at him and go, please shut up. Please don't make another sound because mummy's had a hard day. And I don't think I can negotiate whether you want a bit of chocolate or not, right? So it's just draining.
And both of those are true. Both can be true at the same time. And that's why I tell people, don't use the word but. Don't say, I love my kid, but it's so hard. No, both of them are true. You love your kid and it's so hard. And that's parenthood, unfortunately.
And my mum, who's 71, would probably still say it's bloody hard with me and my brother at the age we are at. So she would still say, no, it's hard. You're always worrying about them. It's sleepless nights, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. It doesn't get any easier even when we leave home. So
it just changes a little bit.
Yeah.
It gets different, but yeah.
So where can people contact you if they want to actually get your help? And I'm in Australia, right? So it's a bit far to come where you are, but is there anything that you can actually offer to help us people in other countries? Have you got any thing on your website, or do you do online stuff? Can we just call out to you and go, you need to set up a helpline, I think.
I know.
Get a 24-hour helpline so we can just phone. Obviously not you manning it all the time, right? Because that would be tiring. But so anyway, I'll shut up. Where
that is on the list. That's on the list. The 24-hour hotline is, I'm glad you brought it up. It's on the list. We'll get there eventually. For right now, website's the best way. So our web address is babystepsnursing.com. There is an inquire or inquiry tab on there somewhere. Yeah. You can shoot us a message, shoot us questions. You can, tell us you want to meet, whatever it is. If you have the means and you want us to come in person, we are able to go anywhere in the world. We, depending on what we're doing. If we are doing actual nursing things, if you have a baby that has a medical need, that can only be done in the United States, I think. But if we're helping with the newborn education stuff, we can do that anywhere in the world. Yeah,
because you're registered in the States, aren't you? So you're not actually, there's no global registration of nurses.
Right. Such. There's not.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. And there should be.
Yeah. You never know.
But,
you never know.
Hey.
So the other option would be to do like a Zoom. We could do a Zoom session if you wanted to set up a camera over the bathtub and we could kind of talk through it and walk through it. That's less ideal. This is one of those things that hands-on really is just so much better. However, if that's not feasible, but you still want somebody to kind of give you some tips and tricks and that kind of stuff, Zoom or a phone call is absolutely, something that's acceptable. We are also in the works creating some online videos that we'll try and put up some short bits and pieces of how to bathe, some of the tips and tricks, and how to, swaddle and how to do some of those other things. So we've got some stuff that's coming up to try and make it more accessible and try to give people some more resources. But so you can always send a question through the website, or if you wanted to meet with us, send that through the website as well.
Yeah. And you're always happy to speak to people and just like have a conversation with somebody and just say, hey, no, let's have an initial conversation and see what we can do. You need to franchise this. Franchise it. Get it over here. Franchise it. Pack it over the water. Send it to Europe. We all need help. Let's face it.
I'll get there. I'd love to come to Australia. Yeah, I do have, I want to take over the world. We'll see, but you got to start somewhere. So
I know, like baby steps, basically. Baby steps. That's fair enough. So look, final question, because thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Mm-hmm. It's really, it's really been good for me to go back to that time and remember that time when my son was sweet, cute, and you could give him a strawberry and he was happy. Right. What would be a piece of advice that you've been given that you sort of still use or give to people today?
There are so many of them, but I'm going to use this. I heard a quote yesterday from an actor. It was Jason Bateman. I don't know if you're familiar with Jason Bateman.
Yeah, God, yeah. Sorry, okay. I said that too keenly. Yes, I know him.
The facial expression also added. I know no one else can see.
But nobody will see that, so that's okay.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. We're good. We're on the same page here. But anyway, he said something I heard the other day that really, I think, also applies very much to what we're doing. And here's the quote. It is, confidence comes on the back of accomplishment. So we don't need to go into parenthood confident. You can't be confident going into parenthood. You can't be prepared enough. But confidence builds as you are doing things and as you see that you are able to do things. Yeah. So that really is what we're all about, is we are there to support you while you are learning to gain that confidence. We are there to help you, help the baby, help the parents, help everybody get through the first, week or 2 weeks and make it to the other side and see like, okay, you know what? I can do this. I know I'll be able to do it.
Yes.
So,
no,
that's what I would say.
No, that's fair enough. Look, thank you so much for everything that you do for people with babies, for what you've done in the NICU, the postnatal stuff. Like, it is so important. They are really cute as well, these little babies, but oh my God, it is really important too.
Love them.
Maternal again. But no, that's something I can remember, those late nights teething. Yeah.
It's rough.
2-3 hours trying to get him to sleep. So I don't want to go back there, but it did, like, the nice bits feel nice.
Yes, of course. And we'll always have those pictures and memories.
Yay. But yeah, look, thank you for everything you do, though, because it is crucial that we give these kids a good start in life. They don't ask to be born. We want them. So we need to give them a good start and then get them through life as best we can, because it is a roller coaster. I don't care who you are. Whether you're Jason Bateman or me, right? It doesn't matter. It's a roller coaster. And it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you.
You as well. The time has flown by. And thank you for being the voice of single parents. and the difficulties with that, and giving, more resources and more support, because we all need to stick together more so than I think we are right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Not about a them and an us. Yeah, it's like, we're just human beings at the end of the day. Let's try and get through life as easily as we can, as happily as we can, hopefully.
Exactly. Yep. Have some fun along the way.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Claire. This has been great.
Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you would like to hear more, please hit subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. If you would like to support us further, share this episode with your friends and family. And finally, drop us a review on iTunes, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and ideas. It all helps me to understand and produce awesome content you want to hear just like this. If you want to check out our past episodes, write to us, appear on the podcast, or for links, resources, and show notes, go to our website, www.strongsingleandhuman.com. We are also on all the usual social media platforms, Insta, Facey, and Twitter. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Be kind to yourself, and remember, no one is perfect. We're all just putting one foot in front of the other and doing our best. I'm Claire Martin, and you've been listening to the Strong, Single and Human podcast.